And I know it can be very heartbreaking because society tells us our parents are the ones who love us the most. They love us unconditionally. Everything they do is for our benefits. Your parents will never hurt you. They are protectors, but unfortunately, not every parent is like that. Unfortunately, some parents are really immature and selfish and they only care about themselves, even when they have kids. Hello and welcome to Kitchen Table Advice. My name is Paola and I am the host of this podcast. This podcast is a safe place where you can ask for any advice you want. It can be relationship advice, both platonic or romantic, career advice, or life advice. I wanted to create a safe place where you can ask for your advice without fear. My purpose here is to serve as a guide and give you a different perspective for you to eventually both find your purpose in life as well as your voice. As a reminder, every name will be anonymous and your identity will always be kept a secret. This is not professional advice and I am not a licensed therapist or psychologist. Just think of this as advice you would get from a close friend on a kitchen table. So, let's begin. Hello, my wonderful gems. How are you? I hope you're doing amazing. If you're a returning gem, welcome back. If you're new here, hello, how are you? Make sure you set out the vibe, and if you like what you're listening to, then please feel free to like and subscribe to this channel. So as usual, we'll just jump into the first story of the episode. This whole episode will be around family issues. That's always exciting. Anyways, so we'll just jump into the title of the first episode. The title is, what do I say to an abusive, no contact father at my grandmother's funeral? My goodness. Let's jump in. I'm a 30-year-old woman and I certainly prefer to not face my dad at all. I haven't seen him in probably 6 years, and going no contact with him is the best decision I've ever made. My dad has the dark triad personality, parentheses, narcissism, psychopathy, and Machiavellianism. Hope I said that right. Machiavellianism. He abused me emotionally, physically, and sexually. He's hinted at having unalived, truly a terrible person. That being said, he is my dad and I love him deeply. I wish I didn't, but I do. I'm scared he'll approach me at my grandmother's upcoming funeral and play the victim. I don't fall for other people's manipulation, but my dad owned and controlled my mind for most of my life. I'm scared that even seeing him could make me slip back into his grasp, which happened the first two times I tried to go no contact with him. What do I say if he approaches me? I don't yet have the mental fortitude to call him out and obviously don't want to make a scene at my grandmother's funeral. Please help. Wow. We will just jump into the episode and I apologize for everything you've gone through. And I'm really sorry you've had to deal with such a terrible father. It, it it's I I can't even begin to imagine what it's like. And I am just sorry that you had to deal with this. And I don't know. This is definitely way over my head, which is why I would, if you're in this position, or if this is you, or you have been in a similar position with a family member who is abusive, such as a mother or a father, they're abusive physically, verbally, or even, you know, other stuff, and you don't know how to deal with that, I would recommend the book Use Children from of Emotionally Immature Parents, because I think you're going to get a lot of clarity from that. I recently read that book and it was really eye-opening, and I would just recommend that book for you. And the author does go into detail about how to deal with situations like this, such as going no contact with an abusive parent or an emotionally immature parent, and how to reclaim your voice. So I would just redirect you to that book because this is beyond my scope. Okay? But I would just give you general advice that I also received from that book, which is why I'm just gonna put the book here or here. One of these places. It's a wonderful book, and honestly, I'm probably gonna write a blog about it, but I'll just recommend the book to you. But my advice would be limit your time with your father. You probably want to go, pay your respect to your grandmother. Oh, my condolences for your grandmother. I'm so sorry. And I know you probably want to go pay respects to her. So go to the funeral and limit your time with your father. If he's talking a lot, you feel uncomfortable, just excuse yourself. You need to go to the bathroom, or try to limit interactions with your father. I know you said, especially if you don't have the mental fortitude, but you need to be in this place where an abusive person or person you haven't really hashed things out with yet. I would just suggest go pay your respects, but limit your time. Like, have a timer. When you see your father approach, maybe, I don't know, just scoot out of there if you don't feel like you're ready. Or if you see your father approach, you feel like you can give him 2 minutes or 5 minutes before you excuse yourself, go ahead and do that. That is what my advice would be. But I do apologize for every single thing you're going through. I recommend the book and also probably therapy. And make sure you find a therapist that is able to connect with you, that is able to relate to you, where you feel comfortable, vulnerable to express your truth. Hi, this is for my audio listeners who may not be able to see what's on the video, but the title of the book is called Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Pen by Lindsay Gibson. I think it's a fabulous book, and I failed to mention this in the I failed to mention this when I was quoting, but I'm not trying to say every emotionally immature or emotionally unavailable parent can abusive. That's not what I'm saying. But there is a likelihood that at best they are neglectful and at worst they are abusive. So I'm not saying every emotionally uninvolved or emotionally absent or immature parent are abusive, but there is a chance for that to happen. And another book I would like to add on here is Why He Does That by Lundy Bancroft. I haven't finished reading the book, but after recording the episode, I've read the book and I came on and I ended on a section where there is this man and he's abusive. And because abusive men tend to not respect women at all, regardless of what they say, they will not respect women, including their daughters. So in this scenario, the man was abusive to his wife, and then he started seeing his own daughter, their daughter that they made together, as an extension of her. And then started making inappropriate comment about her developing and her body. And obviously in this scenario, the girl is in her teens, I believe. So it was incredibly inappropriate and she felt embarrassed, as any one of us who've ever been looked at by a grown adult, which is so unfortunate that most women have to go through it. But to any girl who has been looked at by an adult as if she was something when she was just doing nothing, when she was basically existing, right? Because these men, abusive men, like the woman wrote in, they do not care about women. They do not see women as fully functioning humans, capable of thinking, capable of their own process. They do not respect women. And sometimes this extension does go to their daughters. So I would definitely recommend the book Why He Does That by Lonnie Bancroft. I haven't finished reading it, but the book is so heavy, I have to read it in increments, which is why I haven't finished reading it yet. And if you're a woman, a heterosexual woman who is dating, or no, scratch that, who hasn't even started dating, you've never dated anyone, you're interested in dating a man, I would definitely recommend you read the book Why Does He Do That by Lonnie Bancroft. It is an amazing book, and it's so eye-opening. And I think if more people were aware of this book, I hear about it a lot on social media, but I think if we make this a required reading for women, for girls, they will be more able to pinpoint the stuff that are happening in their relationship. We're always told relationships are hard, marriages are hard, but some stuff in relationships should not be happening. Your partner should not be belittling you, breaking down your spirit, breaking down your ideas, or just making you look like you're quote unquote crazy. And the funny thing is, society buys this stuff. When back in the day, you used to be diagnosed with hysteria. What the heck is that? Anyways, it's something that is so ingrained in society to the point where abusive men, they're not the abuse is not seen in the way it is seen. The repercussion of the abuse, how it extends from their partners, their daughters, and sometimes even their sons, because in the book it also goes into the father would emasculate his teenage boy into making him hyper masculine, where men feel like they have to perform in order to be seen by other men. And at the tail end of that, anything that is deemed quote unquote feminine, anything that is deemed quote unquote not masculine, is suppressed, is pummeled down, always second class, always pushed aside. It's just, I'm done. I am just done. I think every girl should be reading this book. And yes, some men should also be reading the book, Why He Does That, but mostly women. If you're a heterosexual woman, you're interested in men, please read this book. If you haven't started dating, please read this book. All right. So the books I would recommend for this session is Why He Does That by Lonnie Bancroft and Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents by Lindsay Gibson. I feel like these two books will be so fascinating in you just exploring how your childhood may have contributed to how you are as an adult. And this isn't to put blame on you by any means. No. I'm just giving you these suggestions for you to gain awareness. And later on, you proceed with caution, because I think the more information we have about these stuff, the more information we have about why we act the way we act, or why our parents act the way they act, or whatever. You can empathize with why your parents act the way they act. But I think understanding where that stems from, understanding their character, not how we want to see them. Yes, most of us love our parents. We want to see them in a good light because they're our parents and we love them. So of course we want to see them in a good light. We don't want to think of them as these bad people or these monsters. But the thing is, some parents really are these bad people and these monsters. And trying to be ignorant on that of that fact is not going to help us at all. So I think these two books are fascinating reads. So yep, I am done with my rant and we're going to continue back to the episode. All right. Just recommend the book for clarity, but ultimately recommend therapy for long-term unpacking of what has happened in your childhood and what has happened during your upbringing. Because most of the for most adults, the way we act right now is because of our childhood. Whatever we saw in childhood, we associate that familiarity with feelings of love or feelings of acceptance, or maybe the opposite. It really just depends on the mental constitution of each individual. That's why they always urge you to unpack your childhood trauma in therapy, because your childhood can dictate a big part of what type of adult you are going to be. Your self-esteem, your self-worth, how you see the world, how your interactions with other people are going. All of that can just be unpacked from your childhood. So I'm so sorry, and I would suggest you just limit time allocation, limit your time with your father. If you see him approaching, you feel like you're not ready, just try to excuse yourself quietly and pretend. If you need to lie that you're going to the bathroom, just lie that you're going to the bathroom. Okay, lie that you're going to the bathroom, or go to your car and just make up some excuse and go about your day. My advice would be limit your time, go pay respect to your grandmother. Just know that you're going to be in there to pay attention to your grandmother. Maybe say hi to family members here and there, but you're not going to stay around, have conversations with people, and engage. And I know it sounds really detached, kind of heartless, or even cold, but you have to protect your mental well being. In this state, especially when you're dealing with someone who is abusive, who has been pushing your boundaries, who hasn't been listening to you, or feel like you need to become this, it is best for you to limit interactions with them. Just treat them with a distance. That's what I would say. Treat them with a distance, wish them well, but just know that you might not have this closeness with this person. And I know it can be very heartbreaking, because society tells us our parents are the ones who love us the most. They love us unconditionally. Everything they do is for our benefits. Your parents will never hurt you. They are protectors, but unfortunately, not every parent is like that. Unfortunately, some parents are really immature and selfish, and they only care about themselves, even when they have kids. And you, as a kid, you might think, wait, I am your daughter. Why are you treating me like this? But Some people are really selfish, really immature. Again, just go read that book. I'm gonna put it here or here, one of these places. Just I got a lot of clarity from that book. But yeah. Alright, so that is my advice for this. We're gonna take a break right now and come back with the second story of the episode. Okay, so we are back with the second story. This one is much more longer and it's from the mother. Okay, so let's jump in. The title is What Should I Do About My Daughter and the Way Her Husband Treats Her? Oh my gosh, let's jump in. I am a 48-year-old woman, and my daughter, a 26-year-old woman, is the brightest, most beautiful, silly, sassy, and sweet girl in the whole world. Oh, I taught her from an early age to be a strong woman and not to let a man tell you what you can and can't do. We went to feminist events and we went to women's rights talk, and I was very proud to see the intelligent young woman she was becoming. So one day she revealed to me that she had a crush on a boy. Parentheses, we'll call him Jay. Okay? I found that out during my school pickups. Sure, he was a handsome kid, but something about him was weird. He seemed very arrogant. I noticed his mother and I go to the same gym, and one day I approached her and said, "You must be Jay's mom." And she said, yeah, why? And I just said, nothing. Our kids seem to be pretty good friends, so I figured I'd introduce myself. And she was like, "I'll come find you after my workout," which I thought was rude. But to her credit, she did come find me in the cafe at the gym and introduce herself. And we actually got along okay. Then we went to the parking lot, still talking, and she got into this GMC Delaney with a Romney sticker on the back. And I was just like, uh-oh, she's one of those. I have no idea what those means. I like car brands. Whew. Okay, I am going to come back and Google what this is, huh? Because I feel like I'll be missing context here. Okay, so I finally educated myself, so we're back. So she got into this GMC Delaney with a Romney sticker on the back, and I was like, oh, she's one of those. Okay, so fast forward a few months, my daughter comes over with him and says, "Mom, I'd like you to meet my boyfriend Jay." And he seemed polite, he seemed very sweet to her, a little bit arrogant, but it was tolerable. Well, 8 years later, they had a baby now. Parentheses, now they have two, who are 4 and 2. And 4 years later, they got married. Never split up. My daughter has thrown away everything I taught her to kiss his rear. When I visit her, she's always doing dishes or sweeping. And I ask, why can't Jay do it? And she says it's not Jay's job, it's my job. One night, his parents were over and she cleaned up after everyone like it was her job. The last straw was on Christmas. I came over mostly to spend times with my grandbabies because it's hard to be around her nowadays. And her husband has her open all her gifts. And what was her big gift? A vacuum cleaner. Wow. Um, very interesting. A vacuum cleaner. A vacuum cleaner. I was hoping she would say, "What the hell?" But she got and said, "In Malay, I love it." And she ripped the box open and set up the vacuum and started vacuuming and giggling, saying, "Honey, I love it so much. Thank you so much." I couldn't even say anything, but I think she just threw away everything I taught her. She isn't a feminist. She serves her husband and calls him sir sometimes. She even voted for, well, I will not put stuff here. She voted for the other team. Not going to disclose that. She calls women who have had multiple partners slur word that begins with an S. She looks down on people who smoke or drinks. She even thinks reproduction's rights for adults who aren't our victims should be illegal and subject to jail time. Like, what the hell? This is like, what the hell? This isn't the woman I raised. The only time I brought it up was years ago, and her response was, "You tried to brainwash me when I was too young to form my own opinion on anything." Now I'm on the opposite end of you, and as a result, living the opposite life. Still married in a house, and I can have as many babies as I want. It's just so sad. She doesn't know any better. This is the only guy that's ever come her way. She's never even hugged another man. She says I brainwash her when she brainwashed herself. I love my daughter, but I don't know who this version of my daughter is. Is there any way I can get the real version of my daughter back? Um, we're just gonna dive into this really long advice. Um, this really long topic. I um I wouldn't say this isn't the real version of your daughter. There are obviously part of this life that she likes. However, this may not be the whole version, but I don't. This may not be the whole version of your daughter, but I think it will be disingenuous for us to believe this is not part of the version of her. And I don't know. I don't know. Because this is kind of sounding like the opposite side of when you live with a sheltered parent or, those extremely religious Christian parents. That I guess I've seen it on the opposite spectrum where your life is restricted, your parents don't let you do anything, you basically have a curfew, you have to be here, they monitor everything, and when the child goes out, the pendulum just swings to the other side. It seems like this is what is happening, and the pendulum is swinging to the other side. So I think there's some aspect of this life your daughter does enjoy. I don't think I don't think it was complete brainwashing. She was obviously attracted to this guy for a reason. And I know there's a saying out there, opposites attract, blah blah blah. However, the term is not really opposite that are attracting. It's more so like a part of that person. Like let's say when the good girl falls in love with the quote unquote bad boy, right? And people may wonder, why are those two in love? They're so completely different. He's gonna ruin her life, blah blah blah. However, there's a part in that girl who wants to be quote unquote free like the bad boy. That's why she's attracting that guy. And vice versa. You might think, why would the quote unquote bad boy be with the good girl? Well, if he doesn't have structure in his life, he might see her as structure. Basically, they're both gaining something. They're projecting their inner desires on the outer person. That's why to us who are looking from the outside, we're like, y'all are two different people. I don't get it. She used to be so nice and so quiet, and now when he got in her life, she changed. No, she didn't change. She was always like that on the inside, but she didn't think she had the freedom to express herself in that way. That is why she's attracting a mate who is like her on the inside. Granted, there is a caveat though. People are nuanced and people are multifaceted. Just because you fit in a box doesn't mean you agree with everything in that box. You might agree with parts of a box here and there and everything, which is why, again, I tell y'all, explore. If you're 20, explore. Don't let anyone put you in a box, even if that box is feminism. Very controversial, but it is what it is. Obviously, there is a part of this life that your daughter likes. I'm not sure what it is, and you obviously don't know what it is. So I don't think it would be fair for us to get the quote unquote real version of her. Maybe she did feel pressured that you were forcing her to be something she isn't. However, it does seem a little bit extreme. Even though I can admit that there's some part of this that she may like, there's some part of it she obviously resonates with, it does kind of seem a little bit extreme, especially when we are in 2024. Are you serious? I don't know, because I know there are women who like the traditional life and they really do enjoy that. However, to just be completely subservient to a man, that is a different psychology right there. I don't know what it is. My advice would be support your daughter as best as you can. That is it. I think that's the only thing you can do. You may not agree with her lifestyle. You might not agree with her choices. You might not agree with what she's going through. However, it really does seem like you love your daughter and you want the best for her. Because The fact that you instill all these feminine values in her, the fact that you instill all these women are equal to men, which I'm pretty sure that I think that's where you're coming from. Women are equal to men and women's rights stuff. I don't think it was from a place of hurt. Well, I don't know. It could have been from a place from hurt, but I don't think it was from you not wanting your daughter to succeed. Because I maybe this is me just being an optimist, but and even though in the other story, I literally said your parents may not have your best intentions at heart, but I really do think to a degree parents do want the best for their kids. Maybe not every parent, but to a degree, they do want what is best for their kid. And I think you instill these values. I am purely making an assumption here. I am not you, and I am not a mind reader. But I think you instilled these values in your daughter because you thought this is what was right. And I'm about to do a quick calculation here. I wanted to do it when I saw your age and hers. I think it's pretty close. Okay. I think you really did want to do what is best for your daughter. And I just had to use a calculator because some days I'm good at math, other days I'm not. You had your daughter when you were 22. 22 is still relatively young. And I'm really not sure what has happened with the father situation. I don't know. You haven't mentioned this. I don't know if you were a single mother or a married single mother. You felt like you had to raise the baby on your own, but it does seem like with the information you had and with what you were surrounded by, raising your daughter to be self sufficient, having her own, standing up for herself, basically all the women rights stuff of what you instill in your daughter. But she may have connected a little bit with the traditional life. For some people, it's just clothing and it's up there. For some people, it might be some of those quote unquote traditional values. I don't know what it is, but obviously she's connecting to it to a degree. And I don't think it's fair for us to say that's not the real version of her. So that's why my advice is you just support your daughter as best as you can. If she wants to talk to you or if she needs to talk to you, just try to be as open-minded as you can. I know you're probably not going to agree with her. She got a vacuum for a present and started cleaning. I mean, I have had my fair share of time with OCD people, but that is a bit extreme. Wow. I don't know. I don't know if she because she has identified with some of those traditional stuff, now she's playing a role. I think that's it. Actually, after saying that, I think that's it. I don't know. That's kind of weird because the whole vacuum. I was like, what? But I think she is connecting to some of those traditional values, and now the pendulum is just swung all the way on the other side, and she's still 26. To be honest, it's just give her time, be there to support her. If she needs a listening ear, be there. But your daughter's an adult. I'm sorry, but she is an adult. Just the only thing you can do right now is trust that she hasn't completely forgotten every single thing you've taught her during her upbringing. Even though she's not showing it now. Even though I don't know. Maybe it's her lack of experience with men. I'm not sure. Hi. I just felt like I had to add this because um I don't know how, but I missed this point when I was giving my advice. But anyways, another reason as to why I do think she is playing a role is because if you carefully listen to the story, you hear how the daughter says she's now free to stay at home and have babies. And it can be so fascinating, the stuff we learn about folks when we just let them speak. And I think that might be one of the reasons why she's also moving toward this traditional role. This a woman stays in the house, she cleans the house, she makes it good for her family, for her children. Is I think one of the reason why, but again, this is pure assumption. Okay, we are just assuming right here. I am not sure, and I do not have the credentials to diagnose anyone. But I do think the daughter is relating to some of those traditional roles, traditional values because she wants to be a mother. Another thing that the writer did not let us know is how many kids does she have? Does she only have this daughter? And again, the family situation, was there a father in the house or was there not a father? Because even though I'm pretty sure the mother has tried her best to raise the daughter to the best of her abilities, if she was by herself or maybe with an inadequate partner who wasn't really hands on. And she really did try her best by instilling all the women's right values, again, the feminist values. I really do think that was from a genuine place. That was from a genuine place and from a place of love. However, I know it can be really hard for some children of single mothers, or maybe she was teased by her peer because, yes, parental guidance does have an effect as to how we do become as adults. However, if our peers and our environment keep rejecting us or picking on us or keep making fun of us, no matter what the parent does to instill these values of self confidence, of self worth, that isn't always going to translate when the outside world is telling us the opposite of our parents. And we might think our parents are doing this just because they are our parents and they have to be there. So this is another part that I did want to explore because as I was editing this and I was listening to everything, this really popped out of me how the daughter mentioned that she wants to stay home and have babies. Again, like that is a big thing. Is she an only child? I've heard a lot of only kids who want to say they want to have big families because they didn't have siblings or they felt like something was missing. There's just a lot missing. And again, my point still stands. I think she should just support her daughter. This doesn't necessarily mean just go along to get along. Just be a listening ear. This doesn't mean take on the ideologies her daughter has, but just be there for her. I hope this is able to give a more balanced vision because I felt like it was a bit skewed and something was missing from the topic. All right, so we're just back to a regularly scheduled program. I would say listen to her and talk to her as an adult. If you disagree with some of the stuff she's talking about, then say you disagree. And if she fights you on that, just tell her how it's very childish and very immature because these are characteristics of childish people, and immature people are people who don't want to listen to other people's opinion, who just think it is their way. Their way is the right way. No other way. There are no other opinions. So just talk to her like that. I hope this can give you I don't know. I'm really sorry. And I know you probably feel heartbroken like all your hard work in raising a vibrant, self-sufficient young woman has gone out the window, but I don't think it has. Like I've stated in the previous story, our childhood and what we have encountered during our childhood does form most of how we become adults. I'm not sure what has happened in your daughter's childhood. And again, it might not even be something bad, it might just be her interpretation of those things. Because the way a child is going to interpret something is going to be different than an adult interpretation of said thing. So sometimes it might just be the fact that she interpreted this as a child in a way that was skewed. But psychology is a there's so many layers in psychology. It's there's not just one answer. Just like life, there's so many layers in life. There's not just a right and wrong way. There are multiple right ways and multiple wrong ways. But all we can do is try to learn as best as we can each day at a time. I'm so sorry, but I would just suggest you be a listening ear to your daughter. All right, so that is it for this episode. Please let me know what you thought in the comment section below. If you agree or disagree, especially for the second story, because I couldn't think of any other advice to give other than just support because that's kind of what I've always had given to me, and that's kind of what I've given to other people, especially when I did not agree with them at all. It was just like, you are my friend, and because I love you, I'm going to support you, but I don't agree with this. But, anyways, but when you do support people like that, don't be afraid to share your opinion and your perspective because sometimes it can give them clarity. But don't also, but when you do that, also be mindful to not attack their perspective because people would defend the wrong side if they feel they're attacked. All right, that is just advice from your big sis. People would defend their sins even though they know they're wrong just because they feel like they're attacked and they feel like they have to stand up to this thing regardless of what it is. So just accept their perspective and share yours. Thank you so much for spending your day with us. And we got our advice, and we get our stories on our Gmail account, which is kitchentableadvice@gmail.com. That's where we get most of our stories as well as business inquiries. So again, thank you for being here, and we see you next week. Bye.